Today is one of those days where being a Canucks fan feels like a complete roller coaster. You wake up thinking maybe it's just another normal day in this season, and then suddenly everything starts moving. Trades, big decisions, players leaving, new faces coming in, and you sit there thinking, okay, what exactly is this team trying to do right now? Because in the span of what feels like 5 minutes, 3 different things happened involving the Canucks. 3 separate pieces of news that honestly say a lot about where this team might be heading. And trust me, one of them is emotional, one of them is surprising, and another one might quietly tell us a lot about the future of the blue line. So yeah, we've got 3 stories to talk about today, and if you're a real Canucks fan, you're definitely going to want to hear all of this. But before we jump in, quick favor from one Canucks fan to another. If you enjoy talking about this team as much as I do, hit the like button and consider subscribing. This channel, Canucks Nation Report, is brand new, and we're trying to reach our first 500 subscribers. If you bleed blue and green like the rest of us, you're already part of this. So let's start with the first move the Canucks made, and this one is a straight-up defenseman for defenseman trade. Vancouver has acquired Jack Thompson from the San Jose Sharks, and heading the other way is Jet Wu. Now, this is the kind of move that might not explode across the NHL headlines, but if you follow the Canucks system closely, there's actually a lot to unpack here. Jack Thompson is 23 years old, a right-shot defenseman, 6'1", about 189 pounds, and he's coming over after spending most of this season with the San Jose Barracuda in the American Hockey League. In 42 games this season, he put up 12 points, 3 goals and 9 assists, and he's sitting at a +13 rating. But here's the important part. He already has some NHL experience. Across his time with both the San Jose Sharks and the Tampa Bay Lightning, Thompson has played 34 NHL games and recorded 10 points, 4 goals, and 6 assists. For a young defenseman still developing, that's not nothing. In the AHL, he's actually been pretty productive too. Over 203 games between the Barracuda and the Syracuse Crunch, he's put up 91 points, 20 goals, and 71 assists. And if you go back a little further, he was originally drafted in 2020 by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 3rd round, 93rd overall. He also helped Team Canada win gold at the 2022 World Junior Championship. So this is a young defenseman who still has upside, still developing, and clearly someone Vancouver's management believes could fit into the organization's defensive pipeline. Now on the other side of this trade is Jet Wu, and if you followed the Canucks for a while, that name probably feels familiar. Wu was drafted by Vancouver in 2018, 37th overall, and for years he was seen as one of the organization's defensive prospects with potential to eventually break through. He's 25 now, and he spent most of his time with the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL. Over 267 games there, he recorded 21 goals and 62 assists. And of course, he was part of that Abbotsford group during last season's Calder Cup championship run, which was a big moment for the organization's development system. But the reality is, the NHL opportunity in Vancouver just never really materialized for him, so from Vancouver's perspective, this looks like a bit of a reset. Moving on from a prospect that maybe plateaued in the system and bringing in another young defenseman who might still have a slightly higher ceiling or a different development path. It's not a blockbuster move, but it's the kind of roster tinkering you see from teams trying to adjust their prospect pool. Now, that was just the first piece of news today. The second one is honestly a lot bigger, and this one involves a player that Canucks fans have watched every single night for years, because the Columbus Blue Jackets have acquired Garland from the Vancouver Canucks. And the return? 2 draft picks. According to TSN insider Pierre LeBrun, Columbus is sending Vancouver a 2nd-round pick in 2028 and a 3rd-round pick in 2026. Now here's where the situation gets really interesting. Garland actually signed a 6-year contract extension with Vancouver back on July 1st worth $36 million. That deal kicks in next season. This year, he's still finishing the final year of his previous contract, carrying a cap hit of $4.95 million. So Columbus isn't just picking up a rental here, they're getting a player who's locked in long-term all the way through the 2032 season. Garland is 29 years old, and this season he's recorded 7 goals and 19 assists in 50 games for the Canucks. This was his 6th season in Vancouver and his 9th season overall in the NHL. And when you zoom out at his career numbers, Garland has put up 129 goals and 317 points in 535 NHL games between the Arizona Coyotes and the Vancouver Canucks. His best season in Vancouver came during the 2021-22 campaign when he scored 19 goals and 52 points in 77 games. Internationally, he's also represented the United States 3 times at the World Hockey Championships, winning gold in 2025 and bronze in 2021. So Columbus is getting a skilled, hard-working winger who brings energy and offense. And if you look at their situation right now, it makes sense. The Blue Jackets are currently sitting just 1 point behind the Boston Bruins for the second wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. They're pushing for the playoffs, and Garland gives them another offensive weapon for that run. For Vancouver, though, this move says a lot about where the team is right now. Moving Garland, especially right after signing that extension, signals that management is clearly thinking about the future and collecting draft capital. And that brings us to the third story today. And this one is honestly the emotional one. After nearly 7 seasons in Vancouver, Tyler Myers is officially gone. The veteran defenseman has been traded to the Dallas Stars in exchange for a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick. And if you've followed Myers' time here, you know it wasn't always easy. He arrived in Vancouver back in 2019 when former GM Jim Benning signed him as a free agent. Over the years, he became one of the most recognizable personalities on the roster, sometimes criticized, sometimes praised, but always a big presence. The 6'8" defenseman, famously nicknamed the Chaos Giraffe, ended up turning that nickname from an insult into something fans actually embraced. He played through the highs and the lows with this team. The deep playoff push that came 1 win short of the Stanley Cup semifinals, and then the massive drop-off that followed. In the end, Myers played more than 1,100 NHL games in his career, 17 seasons in the league, and Vancouver became a huge part of that journey. This trade actually became possible because Myers agreed to waive his no-movement clause with 1 year remaining on his contract. And that decision wasn't easy. He talked openly about how his family is deeply rooted in British Columbia. His wife, Mikola, their children Tristan, Skylar, and Tatum, their life has been built here. His son, Tristan, has special needs, and the family has established medical support in the region. So leaving Vancouver wasn't just a hockey decision. But when the Dallas Stars emerged as a possibility, Myers said it checked a lot of boxes. He still has family in Texas, where he was born, and more importantly, Dallas is a team that has a real chance to compete for the Stanley Cup. And you could tell this wasn't just another trade deadline move. When Myers went into the dressing room earlier this week, teammates were joking with him saying, "You're still here?" He even got the rare chance to say goodbye in person when the deal happened, something many players never get. Canucks head coach Adam Foote called him a great leader and a true professional. And Brock Boeser, his longest tenured teammate, talked about how Myers handled the entire situation with class. Showing up every day, still working in the gym, still supporting teammates even while everyone knew he was likely getting traded. That's the kind of veteran presence teams value. From Vancouver's side, the trade also makes sense strategically. With salary retention cutting Myers' $3 million cap hit in half, Dallas gets an experienced depth defenseman. The Canucks receive valuable draft picks in 2027 and 2029, and the Stars add leadership to an already strong roster. But this move also highlights just how much the Canucks roster has changed. With Myers gone and Pierre-Olivier Joseph now on injured reserve, the team had to recall prospect Victor Mancini just to help fill out the blue line. And here's a crazy stat. Filip Hronek is now the only defenseman left from the group that pushed Vancouver to Game 7 of the second round just 22 months ago. That entire defensive core has basically been turned over. And while all of this is happening, the team itself is struggling badly. The Canucks are sitting in last place and have a brutal 2 wins, 15 losses, and 4 overtime losses record in 2026 so far. They haven't even won a road game this year. General manager Patrick Alvin has openly said he wants to see more fight from the players, emphasizing that even if the team loses games, they still need to compete and play the right way for the fans. He even addressed the struggles of Elias Pettersson, who hasn't scored in 14 games, has 0 shots in his last 3 games since the Olympics, and was even benched by Adam Foote during a 5-1 loss in Seattle. So yeah, this is a moment of major transition for this team. Which brings us to the big picture. Today we saw Vancouver move a veteran leader in Tyler Myers, trade away a longtime winger in Connor Garland for future picks, and swap defensive prospects by bringing in Jack Thompson. Those aren't random moves. That looks like a front office reshaping the roster and building toward the future. And for us as fans, it's a tough moment. You say goodbye to players who've been part of this team for years. But at the same time, you hope these decisions help build the next version of the Canucks, one that can actually compete again. Because at the end of the day, that's what everyone in Vancouver wants. A team that fights, a team that grows, and eventually, a team that can chase the Stanley Cup again. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about these three moves? Did the Canucks make the right call trading Garland? Was it time for Myers to move on? And do you like the gamble on Jack Thompson? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed talking hockey like this with another Canucks fan, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Canucks Nation Report. The channel is brand new, and we're pushing toward our first 500 subscribers. If you're riding through the highs and lows of this team like the rest of us, you're already part of the community.